Johnston.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to begin by making some comments that have been passed to me by the member for Mulca, who's currently with family due to a death in his family last night. Mr Goyala would like to make it clear that family violence is not part of Yolngu Aboriginal culture. The following is his statement that I will read out. Sometimes people say that Aboriginal culture is violent because they hear historical stories about spears in the leg or a history of fighting between clans. It is true our traditional culture has had punishment that involves a spear in the thigh as part of a lawful response. Our traditional culture has had the death penalty for those who committed significant crimes. This has come through the lawful process of makarata, a form of restorative justice which still exists today without spearing in the leg or killing. Today we use compensation and banishment to other communities and other means to make matters right. Western culture still has capital punishment today in some countries and has historically had very barbaric forms of punishment. Our culture has had leaders who have acted unlawfully or people who may have been violent towards their kin, but this has not been lawful violence. This has been a crime. And it is no different to powerful leaders of other cultures who have behaved badly. King Henry VIII of England was a leader who cut off his wives' heads. Traditionally, we have had kin relationships that provide protection where needed. The Maori relationship provides protection to the Gutara. That is the grandmother clan that provides protection. And the relationship that a child has with their mother's mother is a very special one. So today, when we see such violence around us, when we see women are being killed and harmed unlawfully, we know that something has gone terribly wrong. But I also know that our people do have the solutions to these problems. The families involved in this coronial inquiry have suffered the loss of a loved family member, and for some families they have suffered knowing that their kin has taken a life and gone to prison. This cannot continue to happen. For these 4 women and many more, their communities must also be part of the inquiry. They must be asked what they need to ensure that this does not happen again. This is the closing the gap space. I welcome the coroner's recommendations for community-led mediation and peacekeeping work. This is what I have been calling for over 8 years. And I will tell you that it needs to go further because we need to address the underlying issues. Our traditional ceremonies are about the teaching of rapery. This is respect for country, respect for kin. This is our Yolngu education system through which we teach young people about respectful relationships. But due to the colonisation and assimilation that has come with missionaries and governments, we no longer have the space to provide these important cultural teachings. Assimilation has pushed much of our teachings out of the way. Our kids fall through the gaps because they are forced into Western education systems that don't always make sense or have meaning for them, and because of this they often don't attend. And this push for Western education without a genuine commitment to 2 ways bilingual and bicultural education has meant that some of our cultural teachings and ceremonies have fallen away. But this is what is needed now to teach our young men about their responsibility not to cause harm and teach our young people about respectful relationships. We see young people having relationships at a very young age when they don't yet have the education and learning to act with leadership and responsibility. This is why we need our young men out on culture with male elders learning to serve their families, and we need our young women out on country with their female elders learning to serve their families too. As a Yolngu leader, I have learnt my role is to serve, it's not to be served. I am responsible for looking after the people of my clan and associated clans. This is also the teaching that our young people need. It is the Yolngu values and culture that we are seeing disappear that is throwing people into chaos. And so I appreciate the findings of the coronial inquiry, but I am aware that it is the jurisdiction of a Ballanda court, and it is important that the leaders and elders of our community are given the same space and respect to tell you what our recommendations are, so that we can work in partnership with all those services and government departments that are working towards ending the tragedy of domestic and family violence we see everywhere. It is time for this government to act, and act in partnership with the services and people who have the knowledge and answers. Closing the gap is about sharing decision making with First Nations people, and this must happen if we are going to see long-term change for the people in the Northern Territory. I thank the Minister for bringing her statement today, and I hope that we will see swift government action. These are the words of Mr Guyala. And I'll now read my statement. Madam Speaker, I heard the Minister say today that it is absolutely vital that we do not rush a response and that there's been no evaluation of the work that's been done. This could not be further from the truth. What is actually vital is acting now to keep women and children safe. We've heard numerous times today that the domestic, family and sexual violence sector desperately needs the funding it was promised immediately. In the words of the coroner, given the recent loss of life and the extent of the horror, no further delay can be tolerated. The time for action on domestic, sexual and family violence was yesterday. We don't need more audits and evaluations. Action Plan 1 has already been fully evaluated. It's available for anyone to see online, and I'm hopeful that the Minister and everyone in this chamber has familiarised themselves with it. Action Plan 2 is specifically tasked with monitoring, evaluation and accountability. It's already in place. If people haven't seen it, I have a copy here. I think the Minister cherry-picked from this report from point 6 today when she said evaluation was not taking place. There's a clear framework to measure and monitor outcomes and undertake evaluation. I cannot overemphasise the level of work that has gone into evaluating the sector to improve the safety of women in the Territory. We do not need more review, we need action. It's good to hear the Minister expressing her support for funding frontline services, for men's behaviour change programs, for early intervention programs and support programs, which are all key components of the action plan and the framework, the plan that the Minister is criticising. All of this work was developed in consultation with the very same frontline workers the Minister says she wants to listen to. Why hasn't the Minister listened to what they've already told her, what they've already said? This framework, the one that already exists and is the product of multiple reviews and years of work by experts, is the framework that the coroner has described as sound, sensible and supports. We do not need to throw out this plan that was developed over years with frontline workers, experts and governments. We need to act on it. And I echo my fellow members in saying that removing the alcohol floor price will only exacerbate this crisis. There's a clear link between accessibility to alcohol and women being harmed and killed. The work has been done, Minister. You have what you need to make a difference. I hear how passionately you are committed to making women and children safe. We have what we need. We do not have time to do that all over again while women are dying. To quote the coroner, if the task seems too big or overwhelming and this all sounds impossible, if anyone is feeling defeated, there is some good news. With all this combined input, we know what needs to be done and there is no reason for any further delay before action is taken. I call on the CLP again to urgently commit to the funding it's promised the sector so that we can walk out of this chamber today having made women and children safer. Thank you, Madam Speaker.